The Maryland Made podcast provides timely, relevant, and practical information to empower student athletes to explore their potentials and pursue their passions. We facilitate an inclusive environment for student athletes to refine their leadership, explore professional possibilities, and enact change in our communities. Happy Monday and welcome to the Maryland Made podcast. I'm your host, Lonnie Mulligan, Big Ten Diversity Fellow, bringing you this week's podcast episode titled The Big Ten Big Life Series, Selma to Montgomery. Today, we're going to be highlighting the experiences of two student athletes who participated in the Big Ten Life Series in Selma, Alabama. In addition, we're going to just really explore what it's like to be a Black student athlete at a predominantly white institution. Joining me today is sophomore volleyball player Layla and sophomore field hockey player Reese. Before beginning our conversation, Layla and Reese, please give me a little brief introduction about your background and why you chose to come to UMD. Layla, we can start with you.
Yep. So I'm Layla Ivy, women's volleyball team. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland. And the reason why I chose Maryland because East for volleyball is the best conference. And I'm from the DMV, so I love the area, want to stay close to home. And I guess just the all-around culture and environment of Maryland that really draw me to it, and the amazing coaching staff and awesome academics as well. So yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
should I? Sorry. Okay. My bad. Hi, I'm Reese. I'm from Kensington, Maryland. And a couple of big reasons why I chose Maryland were just like the intersection of just excellent field hockey and also excellent academics. I really appreciated like the team culture, just even from the outside looking on the field hockey team. And like I've always like really loved the coaching staff. Like Missy's kind of like a legend in field hockey, and like the opportunity to be coached by her was just like something I didn't want to pass up. And Maryland just has like really strong academic programs and little like cohorts and stuff. So I was also really excited about that.
Awesome. It's so cool you are both from Maryland because I'm, from the South. And so that's interesting. And I love knowing that, I'm sure you have a great community around you with support and stuff like that. So thank you for sharing about your background. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about your experience and then also just give a little background of what the Big Life Series is. So the Big Life Series is a cornerstone initiative led by the Big Ten Equality Coalition and highlights the conference's ongoing commitment to examine and search for answers to the racial, social, religious, and cultural challenges faced by our country today. This year's event featured participants from a handful of HBCUs and PWIs. The centerpiece of the Alabama experience is the march across the historic Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, site of the 1965 Bloody Sunday attack. In remembrance of the historic Selma marches, the Big Ten started the initiative Big Life Series, Selma to Montgomery last year to educate student athletes, coaches, and administrators on civil rights movement in Alabama. So after we've just gone through a little education about what the Big Life Series is, let's kind of talk about both of your experience attending and your different perspectives. So going to start with both of you. Either of you can go answer first. Why did you decide to attend the Big Life Series?
I can go. So my teammate Raynell Jones last year that she attended, and that was the first year that they did it. And I remember her telling me and seeing like on her Instagram and seeing like the videos Big Ten was posting, how like impactful that was. So one of my other teammates, Zoe, who attended, she's the inclusion like SAC person for like equity and inclusion. So she knew that I'd be interested in it, so she was able to like get me like the ball rolling and like put my name out there. So that was pretty exciting. I was really excited for it, honestly. Like I got like the email for it like 2 months before, and I couldn't wait for it because I knew it'd be like such an impactful trip just to be around like other student athletes, to meet new people as well, but like be in Selma and like Montgomery learning about like different things is really cool for me. So
It makes me really happy to know that you were supported in your decision to go and you had someone to kind of share their experience and then like encourage you to go. That's awesome. What about you, Reese?
Okay, so I heard about the Big Life Series trip through my academic advisor, Michael. I think that I think a couple of academic advisors gotten like reached out to see if they knew anyone would be interested, and he kind of recommended me, and I got to talk to Daisy about it and like see, or like, yeah, see the itinerary, kind of hear about like all the different museums you're going to visit. And yeah, I just got similarly just super excited about like first like the educational opportunity. Like I don't think I would have ever had the opportunity to go to Alabama, like to go to Selma, to like where like all these historical events happened and see these like really incredible museums, and listen to these incredible speakers. And I was just like, it just felt like an opportunity I couldn't pass up. And I also am like just very passionate about equity, diversity, and inclusion. So I was like, yeah, just super, super excited about it from the jump. And yeah, oh, and I was also really excited to get the opportunity to be around like-minded student athletes and just like meet people. I think that's always something.
Awesome. I mean, y'all's enthusiasm towards working towards a more inclusive environment with everyone is so admirable. And I'm just super proud of you guys already, just before even hearing about more of your experiences. That's awesome. So if you could describe the trip in one word, what would you choose? And then why did you choose that word? If you need a second to answer, that's okay. But if you're ready, you can speak when ready.
I would say memorable would be mine. I was gonna say life changing, but that's 2 words. But
No,
I'd
that
say
counts. No, that counts.
Yeah. But I'd say memorable because like as soon as I got back from Alabama, I was like all I wanted to do was like talk about the trip and like educate. Like my mom picked me up. I was like I just dumped all this information that I learned from it. And it was like I tried when I was there, I tried taking like every minute. So I'm like, I'm never gonna like feel this way like ever again. Like every museum, I just try to take in all of the information. Every speaker that was speaking, every like activity that we were doing was just memorable. And like, how many times can you say that like they closed the Pettis Bridge for like us to like walk? It was really impactful. So I would say memorable because I'm never gonna forget it. Really.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah. I'm sorry. It's so hard to choose one word because I feel like it's just, and I'm also like a big talker. Okay, I would have to say inspiring because I feel like overall, like I feel like during the trip and then even afterwards, I just felt so like pushed and like moved by it, by like kind of like the education we received, like the like kind of the conversations we were able to have with like our peers and things we were able to like listen to and just see and understand. Like it was all so inspiring. I felt like it was like pushing me to like first like greater understanding, but also to like go off of that and like move towards like greater action. Yeah, and it was just like very like uplifting, like and empowering. So if it the whole trip like felt like wow, like you guys like have so much potential to like create so much change in your communities, and like it's so like every person who's there, every person who spoke to us was like, oh, like you guys are gonna be the answer, like you guys are gonna do so much good work. And it's just so like exciting because I feel like oftentimes I can get a little stuck in like hearing about all the inequality and like all the horrible history. And, like, oh my gosh, like this just sucks so bad. But like yeah, it's nice to have it like was just simultaneously so empowering. Yeah, so inspiring.
I love this both. I'm gonna have to make a caption out of it because I love that for this for the video. But so so based off that, would you recommend this trip to other student athletes, and why? Or why do you feel that it's important that other student athletes attend?
I think it's I would definitely recommend this for other student athletes. Actually, when I got back, that's what I talked to my coach about. I was like, I wish like it wasn't just the Big Ten, but like every conference could have something like this because I feel like it's so important to know your history and to like for people who want to learn and want to like know more for them to be able to in that certain kind of like setting. Because like I think it wasn't the commissioner, but someone said it was like kind of like a field trip. Like instead of just reading about it, you're like living in it. So I would definitely recommend it to other students because I think it's important to know like what happened in the past. So
Yeah, I totally agree. I would definitely recommend it. And I would especially recommend it to people who are maybe even a little like kind of like skeptical about it, like skeptical if they like should go or if like they really feel like they would, I don't know, like get like the best experience out of it. 'Cause I just feel like it's just such a I don't know, I feel like everyone who went had was just so incredibly impacted. I feel like anyone who does go in the future is going to have a very similar experience. And yeah, I would definitely recommend this. I wish we could even like expand like how many people go on, yeah, expand how many schools there are. I thought it was great that it was not just the Big Ten conference, that we also were including HBCUs. And I think that yeah, just
Awesome. I'm just happy to know that y'all's experience was so great to where you would want your teammates. And I love that y'all are going back and sharing your. All right, next question, guys. What, Layla, so start with you. What is your main takeaway from this experience overall?
I guess my main takeaway is kind of just like, I don't know if that's the main takeaway, just but like knowing that like we've come so far, but there's still much more to go. I guess that'd be my main takeaway. Cause like we learned, I think it was like the civil rights memorial museum. I can't remember. All of them were so good, but it was just showing us like how like starting from like the beginning to like and then just build up from years to years to years, how much like pain and like how many people have like blazed the trail for us to be like where we are today, but how it should still like continue to get better and we're like we shouldn't be like fine for where we are. So that's probably my main takeaway, and like how we should always like try and educate other people instead of just like it's like I think one of the speakers said it was something about like oh my goodness on how like we should educate like other people so it's like history kind of doesn't repeat itself. So that was kind of like my main takeaway.
Thank you, Layla, for sharing your main takeaway. So for you, Reese, as a person who is in the majority, can you just talk about the importance of allyship in these spaces and how other people can support the fight for equity and equality in America?
Yeah. Sorry, just a second to like think out a phrase as well. Okay, I mean, I feel like I can't emphasize enough the importance of allyship. I feel like especially because we can't burden people in marginalized communities with like doing all the fight like themselves. That's just not, and that's also not how to achieve like sustainable justice or sustainable equality and equity. It's just like not how it works. You have to get everyone involved and everyone to kind of put the work in. But I think that as to like how to support the fight for equality and equity, like as allies, I think the foundation is like educating ourselves as people and in the majority who have privilege and even have power in that. I think that educating ourselves and again, not relying on people of color or marginalized communities to educate us, but like doing the work to do that and educating our friends and educating our families and kind of like catching ignorance and like checking it. I think, and also think that part of being a good ally is just being humble, is not saying like, okay, like I'm educated enough now, like I think I'm done, or trying to like talk over people. That's not like the way to be a true ally. I think that being an ally is being humble and making sure to amplify existing voices and even like using our privilege to do that, amplify existing voices instead of talking for people or talking over them. I think that's incredibly important. And I think that that's something I felt was kind of like re-emphasized for me throughout this trip as well. Just the importance of listening and staying humble. And I think another big part of how to support the fight for equality and equity in America as an ally is just examining how we participate in and contribute to like inequality and unjust systems and even like systems of oppression. I think that's a really important thing, kind of like doing that reflection and just being honest with ourselves and evaluating that and then seeing how we can take steps to change our lifestyles or change like the way we think about things and like examine our prejudices and get rid of those. All of that. And yeah, I think that's a big thing I would say.
No, that was great from both of you. I mean, coming from different perspectives, I think it is so important to hear from the both of you. And I'm glad that we were able to have you both on to share your different experiences because as you just mentioned, like coming from different backgrounds and different experiences, like you're able to see different things. And so I'm glad that you both were so willing to come and share your experience with me and with everyone that's listening on. It's such an important topic, especially in the era that we are now and all the time, but just going through your experiences here. So thank you for both sharing. We're going to just move on to the next question, which is who was your most memorable speaker? Or if it's like a quote or an experience, that'll work too, but just something that really, really stuck out to you or something that a speaker said or a little bit of background about who the speaker was.
I can go. I know the speaker that really like stood out to me was her name is Linda Blackwell Lori, I think. Yeah. We listened to her. She was speaking at First Baptist Church where Martin Luther King would have his sermons. So that was just impactful, also just being in there and listening. But I believe she was like 13 or 11, around that age. And she was there on Bloody Sunday. And you could kind of just hear like the pain in her voice, like describing like how it was being in there. And I think she was saying it was like that really stuck with me is like she did another special for like BET where they showed her like the film film from that day that she'd never seen before because she was knocked unconscious. And she was saying that she could just see like the hatred and like the police's like on their face, and that's how it reminded her of like George Floyd. So like after when she said that, like the same like expression and like anger was on like the police officer's face. So that kind of like the whole room kind of like broke down when she said that. So that kind of like reminded me of, and it was just like she kept talking about like her experience as a young girl growing up in the South, and then just like connecting it to how we can continue to make change today. And I like the quote she had. It was like, hold on, I had it here. Oh yeah, she was saying that ignorance is taught, and so like people can choose to be ignorant, and they can choose if they want to learn. So that can't be an excuse if they're able to like want to learn, I guess, if that makes any sense. She said it better than I am, but it's just like I just liked how yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Layla, you want to follow up with Reese, you want to follow up with the answer to the question?
Yeah, it's actually funny because I had like the exact same thing. Like all how to spoke about. Yeah, because it was like just so like like emotional. You really felt it listening to her, and like she did such a great job of like really bringing us into those memories with her. And I think that was just such like a irreplaceable experience. And like again, yeah, that same moment where she described how she had like didn't know about how she'd been beaten by these troopers, and then saw the footage and like it kind of like remembered that trauma almost, and how yeah she equated that to yeah the look on that trooper's face to like how Derek Chauvin looked, like the apathy, the hatred. Yeah, I found that like incredibly memorable and impactful. And I also really enjoyed how she spoke about how Dr. King like brought in all these like all the youth with him. He really brought them in. He said, no, like you're gonna stay in these meetings, like your voices are important, or like you also should be part of these like kind of like planning and like listening processes. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And like a lot of the speakers spoke about Dr. King and like their relationship to him and like how they looked up to him and how he taught them or led them. And that was like one of my like favorite parts of the whole thing, was just learning more about just how amazing he was, honestly. Yeah.
And that's so beautiful that y'all share different experiences, but you both answered the question the same, meaning that you really felt the emotion. And I mean, it's so beautiful that she was able to be vulnerable and display those emotions to you guys and like bring you back, because it's nothing like you don't know until you're there, or if you were actually there. But I'm glad that you guys were able to perceive that and see how it's different then and now and everything. So I love that y'all brought away similar things with a memorable speaker, but come from different experience. That's amazing. So was there anything that you got out of the trip that you did not expect?
Ooh, I can go for this one. I think that I didn't entirely expect this, but I feel like I came away with just such like a deeper appreciation, understanding for the way that like religious communities, like especially like the Black Baptist Church in like the South, have just been so deeply intertwined, like in the fight for social justice. I just think that, and still are. I think that is just so cool, and it feels kind of like a little like different to the way that I can sometimes see the fight for justice happening. Like maybe it's like a regional thing up here, or maybe it's even like kind of like a thing I'm just not as aware of or as exposed to. But I just thought that was really cool. Like kind of like the intersection between just like personal and community faith, and then also a drive to see justice, see equality, see equity. Yeah, I also found it like personally just like very encouraging and inspiring. And that was, yeah, super duper cool to me.
I'm just gonna give a little feedback or to that because I am from South Mississippi and the community I have within, my personal beliefs and everything, it really does align with everything that you're saying. So it's beautiful to me to know that you were able to get a little insight about maybe what it would be like for me to grow up like as a Black girl in the Black community in those spaces. So I am so happy that you were able to like experience that because it is something that I carry very close to my heart, especially being away from home. So I love that you were able to experience that. Layla, you want to go in with what you got from the trip that you didn't expect?
Ooh, I was trying to think of it. Hmm, I mean, because I kind of came in expecting for it to be like pretty impactful. So that's like, I'm like, hmm, I didn't expect. I guess I didn't. I guess this is kind of what I didn't expect to have like after. It was usually after like every like museum or something. We were always able like when we were on the bus to like have like an educated like conversation with like say someone from like UCLA or like Nebraska or something like that. So I didn't like expect to have like those like deep conversations with like other student athletes, like just like not like being like structured, I guess, just having those like free flowing conversations and like basically just unpacking everything that we just like saw. So it's not like we're just like keeping it in, we're just talking about it. So I guess
Yeah.
just having those educated conversations.
And I love that you were able to, I mean, you may have never even met some student athletes from different schools or like different sports. So that's really cool that, y'all share a similar experience with being student athletes in the Big Ten, but going to different institutions and having different upbringings and backgrounds and everything, like to be able to be in a safe space to have that, it sounds awesome. Like that is amazing. And I'm glad that y'all were supported in that area to just share and, probably be vulnerable and just go back and forth with that information. So that's awesome. So for either of you, like what's next for you revolving around DI? Anything would do with making a more inclusive environment. What's a goal or what do you have in mind? Anything that just kind of revolves around what's next in the space for you as far as this area.
I can go. I think that this is kind of like a long term what's next as well. For me, it's like definitely a goal just to have my career like to be very justice oriented, like completely, and to be like consistently like have my work accomplish or like get closer to achieving justice, equality, and equity. So that's something that's really important to me. And as I'm going through college and like all my classes and kind of also like simultaneously exploring different career paths, I think that's something that I'm being very conscious of. And that's something that this trip was also able to help me out with. I think that prison reform is something that I've been passionate about for a long time. And like going to like the Legacy Museum in Alabama kind of like, I don't not like reminded me of how passionate I am, but like kind of reminded me of how passionate I am about it. And also like there's how much work there is to be done. And also like how much space there is for me to get involved as a career or like through my career, like in prison reform or in like voting rights and in places like that. So yeah, I feel like what's next for me is just exploring different career options, but also hopefully in terms of like short term, what's next, just continuing to talk about this trip and just like how impactful it was for me and like how inspired and like educated and just moved I feel by it now. Like, yeah, with my friends, my family, I think also like most importantly, my teammates and like just the people, other student athletes in Maryland. Because I think that sometimes like conversations about equity, diversity, inclusion can kind of happen like within little bubbles of people who are like all really excited about it. And it'd be great to kind of like get it to like other people as well. Yeah.
Really quick, Reese, can you give us a little bit more background about your career? And this is awesome that did it give you more clarity with what you want to do, like more encouragement? That's awesome. But what kind of stemmed you to want to pursue a career with everything that you just discussed?
I don't know what sound I feel like that's just always for the past like several years, it's always been like something I've wanted to do. Actually, when I first read Just Mercy, which is the book that Bryan Stevenson wrote, and he's like the guy who started DJI from the Legacy Museum that we went to. After I Just Mercy, I was like, oh my gosh, like how can I like go through life without being like intentionally involved in this like in this kind of work like every day. And I think that I'm a very just like passionate, just oriented person naturally. So it just kind of makes sense for me to want to steer my career in that direction. I kind of forgot the question. I'm sorry.
No, that was it. You answered it. I was just curious about what or if anything that stemmed you to want to pursue a career in yeah.
Oh, yeah. And also additionally, kind of tying back to one of my previous answers and something that you responded to, I think that for me, like my personal faith is something that also moves me to like look to seek justice and empower people and I think that yeah, for me it's like a way to like live that out, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Mhm.
So Layla, what is next for you in the DEI space?
Yeah, same thing as Reese, pretty much. And she's talking about like educating her teammates because I know that was like a big thing I was thinking about, like even on like the bus ride home, when we were coming back from Montgomery to Atlanta to Maryland. Yeah, it was just kind of just like thinking like how can I use my voice to educate like my teammates who are like around me and like because I mean DMV is a pretty like diverse area, so like people who maybe aren't from here they can learn a little bit more about like diversity and inclusion. They don't know that much, but and also like collabing. Because I was talking to Zoe, who's my teammate, who's the SAC diversity and inclusion person. Just doing certain stuff with her to try and like get our voices out, and like we do these pre-practice meetings for volleyball at least before our practices. So maybe like I don't know, me and Zoe could lead one, or I could lead one day, talking about certain issues like that. So just trying to get my voice out there, pretty much.
Layla, that's awesome. And we're going to discuss it a little bit further, but however Maryland Made and myself can be a support to you in maybe pursuing using your voice a little bit more, like we would love to help you foster and find like whatever ways that you are comfortable to share your experiences, or just smaller educational pieces, whatever would fit within like the realm of what you were wanting to say. We're always here for you, and I just hope you know that. And I mean, I know Reese as well, like y'all sharing this experience, it could be a great opportunity for you both to collaborate together and figure out the goals that you may have for your teams or for the one Maryland community as a whole. So thank you both for being so open to share your experiences about the trip. I know Daisy was able to attend, support you guys from an administrative role. So I'm happy to be able to get a little bit more insight about what you really took away from. All right, y'all. So thank you both for sharing your experiences. Now we're going to go into talking about what it's like for you, Layla, having a Black student athlete experience at a predominantly white institution. So, Layla, how important do you think that it is for student athletes of color to have experiences like this?
I think it's really important, especially at PWI when you're not like surrounded by people who look like you. Um, Luckily, like even that went into my decision of like where I want to go to college. Maryland's very diverse compared to other like Big Ten schools. So I mean, I think we do a pretty good job at like being inclusive and having a lot of diversity. But I think having things like the Selma trip just gives us a chance to be like around like other Black student athletes who feel the same way, and just learning like being in Selma and Montgomery, which is like the heart of the civil rights movement, is something like that's like gonna touch a nerve to any person of color, really. So I think it's just important to learn like how we're able to do the things we can because of people in Selma that fought for us to do certain things. But sorry, especially like in a sport like volleyball, which is a predominantly white sport. It was awesome to have like to meet other um people of color like from other volleyball teams on the trip to talk about that certain stuff because because we can relate to certain things like that. So I think it's really important. Yeah.
Awesome. No, it's great. I'm happy that you were able to experience that because I participated in a predominantly white sport. So having experiences with other Black soccer players is always awesome, just to know that you can relate and have a safe space to share experiences like that. So I'm really glad that you were able to meet volleyball players from other schools. And, as a conference whole rather than, sometimes it's like school by school, but to be at a conference level at a base that you all are, moving towards the same goal and share very similar experience. Layla, to follow up, in what ways do you think that you could be more supported, if any? So could it be more trips, conferences, symposiums, more education? Just in your opinion, are there any ways that you would feel or could feel more supported?
I feel like maybe more education. I feel like I know at Maryland Made they have like they do like the equity inclusion like little like things like that. So probably more things like that would be awesome. But like also like maybe like certain things for like teams, I guess. Like that like the whole team has to sorry, the whole team has to attend. So like that people can learn about that certain thing and know like what's right to say and what's wrong to say in certain instances. Um so yeah, I feel like just I guess more education overall would be good. But yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see how some, required education just might make you feel more comfortable, if that's what you're saying, with maybe, microaggressions or smaller things
Mhm.
that if you're not a person of color that you genuinely may not understand. So I'm super excited to take your feedback back to our team and our department and see how we can support you, and then get feedback from other Black student athletes to see how we could, be more supported. So just wanted to follow up. Reese, do you have any suggestions or ideas of what you experienced being an ally of and being around in a space of Black student athletes at the symposium that you feel like could maybe improve the experience of Black student athletes at Maryland?
I think that something similar to what Layla was talking about like team targeted education would be so great, especially because like teams can be kind of like, yeah, bubbles and pockets. And again, sometimes only people who are already interested and already aware of issues on diverse, on like DEI issues are going to be the ones like coming to like certain things. I think it'd be great to have like team targeted education. And even if it's like required or just like, I think if it wasn't even required, but even just like heavily suggested, I think that a lot of coaches and teams would be like super excited about that. I think that's also a great way to adjust education, because that sometimes honestly has to be the case, to like just different teams and like where people are at. Like one team might be at like a place where they're like, okay, like we want to get involved with like X nonprofit like right now and do this. Another team might be like, whoa, like, we don't even really understand this issue, and like we kind of have a problem with microaggressions, and that might be good to have a team target education there instead of like a blanket solution for all. But yeah, I think that that would be awesome. I think that having like specifically for microaggressions, I think that would be a great place to start, like having yeah, a team discussion on that, because I think that that is definitely, I mean, like I can see that be a problem, and like I'm not even necessarily on the receiving end of that. So
No, Reese, that's awesome. And I really like what you said about not like putting a blanket over the situation, and maybe, meeting some people where they are and really understanding like what is the need of the team or specific individuals, and trying to address that the way it is, rather than assuming that everybody understands or is on the same page or has had the same background education. Because I mean, the reality is that everyone hasn't, and that's okay. But the only way to move forward is probably is to address it and to figure out the best solution. So I love that. I think you both bring up, I mean, you both support each other's answers basically. So again, I just am looking forward to bringing that information back and seeing the ways that we can make a more inclusive environment for everyone and just move forward in the right direction. And obviously, you guys being so encouraged, I'll be reaching out to you both for guidance, because you've had insight and experience that, I mean, besides Daisy, we haven't been able to have, and that's something very special. So in any way that we can just continue that movement towards what the goal of our department and our experience for you guys is. So the follow-up question is, these are going to be very different because y'all play different sports and are from different places. But Layla, I will start with you. So if there was a little girl aspiring to be in your shoes one day, like what is one piece of advice that you leave for them?
a good one. I guess, okay, I feel like it's really basic, but just like be you. You don't always have to like do what other people or try and like be what like you see other people like doing. Kind of just like stay true to you and know who you are. Um, yeah, that's all I got.
No, that's not basic. I think like individuality, like that is what makes you you. And you know, Maryland made us be who you are, do what you want. And so we stand by that, and like we stand by you and your individuality, and we accept all of you for who you are. And
Yeah.
is there anything more specifically towards volleyball or being a
Mhm.
Black student athlete in a predominantly white sport? You speak on that a little bit with the maybe a younger girl that like, or your younger self,
Mhm.
what you would
Mhm.
want to know.
Mm. Ooh. Trying to say this. I'm sorry. I'm just like trying. I know what I want to say. Just
Yeah,
trying to say it in a good way. Um, can you come back to me? Are you able to do that?
of course. I can definitely
Okay.
come back to you. All
Okay.
right, Reese, what you got?
Okay, as to what I would say to like a younger girl, a younger version of myself.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that kind of like two things I would say. One is just to not be like super hard on yourself and not like beat yourself up, 'cause that's not a path towards success or towards improvement. And I just like that's something that can even not like can be encouraged a little bit, especially in like athletic spaces. But another thing would just be like to invest in like taking time for yourself and like your mental health and just taking a deep breath, taking a step back and like doing things like journaling or like meditation, reflecting. Like I think things like that and like building those kind of healthy habits are just so valuable, especially as like college athletes. Yeah.
Awesome. That, I mean, I, as a, you know, retired student athlete, giving yourself grace in that period to just, you know, accept things that happen. And I mean, taking time to yourself. We have an amazing sports psychology department. We're actually having them on the next episode. So utilizing the resources. I mean, I hope you guys, we have, there's a great staff. So like utilizing those resources and taking, like you said, the journaling, the self-meditation, all those things, like those are things that are proven to improve your quality of your experience. So prioritizing mental health is huge. So I'm glad that you were able to share that, especially with the issues that student athletes face today and how mental health is really important. Layla, do you want to follow up
I
about?
did. I got it. Okay. So following up to like, oh, sorry.
Okay, Layla, pertaining to being a young Black girl in a predominantly white sport, if you were your younger self, what would you say or any advice that you might would give?
Hmm. So again, just being yourself. Um, when it pertains to like just like your craft and like I know like hair always, it's always like gotta go through that journey. To just be you and like find those people that you find like comfortable talking to, like whether it's like a teammate you're really close to, that you can like confide in or someone like that, or just getting support, because I feel like support's a big one in like just growing up in general, and like playing a collegiate sport or sport in general. um and finding like those people in your team or outside of your team really. So I guess just trying to find like your tribe that you can rely on, and confide in is the big one. So yeah.
I love that. Support is everything. And like you said, like whether it's a teammate or a mentor or a family member or a friend, I think having support and the things that you go through is really vital, and being able to get advice and just get things off your chest, because I think that that can make a really big difference. So thank you both for sharing about advice to your younger self, but also just about your experience about the trip and your experiences being Black student athlete and an ally. Like I think that you both are doing great work, and this has just been such an amazing episode, diving deeper about your experience at the Big Ten, the Big Life Series, and as a UMD student athlete. I hope you both can understand how encouraging you are for our team, but also to the Black athlete community. and Alex by being part of this trip, but also being open to sharing your experiences. We really appreciate you. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the final section of our podcast is going to be the rapid fire. So we just want to learn a little bit more about your interests outside of sports. There's a little section called rapid fire. So I'm just going to ask you a question and just respond to the first thing that comes to mind. Reese, you'll answer first, and then Layla. So Layla, you have like 1 second longer, but we're going to fly through this because I'm curious to know without you having much thought. So number one, what is your favorite musical artist, current or of all time?
Oh, that's such a hard question. Oh my God. That is such a hard question. Oh my gosh. Can I give a couple?
3, go.
Great, okay. Leon Bridges. Hosier. And Goth Babe. Yeah.
I love Leon Bridges. Oh my gosh. All right, Layla, favorite musical artist, current or
Yeah.
all time?
Can I give a list too?
Let's hear the
Okay.
3.
Rihanna,
Mm.
Justin Timberlake, and Jack Harlow. Kind of all over the place, but yeah.
No, I like the different genres. Like, I love it. It's giving very well-rounded. I love y'all. Okay, so what is your favorite athlete of all time? Reese, go.
I'm not good at the rapid fire questions. Layla, if you know, you got it. I gotta think about this. Oh, okay.
You go.
Okay. I'm of all time, Simone Biles and Sydney McLaughlin.
I'd say Michael Jordan, but only when he's on the court. And Naomi Osaka. I love Naomi Osaka, her as well.
Okay, love those, love those too. Okay, final question. Favorite TV show? Current right now, what are you watching, or of all time?
Mine is SWAT.
Okay.
SWAT.
Oh, what? It's a good one. Sorry, I'm not good at these. I watch on TV shows and like I'm trying to think.
Okay, what about currently?
Currently, I'm not even watching any TV shows right now.
Come on, Reese.
You're in camp. No
I'm sorry, I need to take a second
TV
to let it cook. Oh my gosh. Like I'm thinking of one and I have it and I can't find it. Oh well, I mean the Great British Baking Show or Great British Bake Off. That's always a fun one. Big fan. Also Criminal Minds. Okay, wait, sorry. Now they're all coming back.
Yeah.
Stranger Things. Great show. Okay. We can go with that one. Sorry.
No, those are all great. Y'all are so funny. I literally can't. It's so funny how y'all can like be so quick to respond about all these like deep questions. And when I saw
Yeah.
about a TV show, y'all are like, what? I love that. They're so funny. Okay. Just thank you both so much for participating in such a great conversation today. But before we wrap up, can you share with our listeners how they can follow up with you or updates or even reach out to you? So, Layla, can you start with your contact information, socials?
Oh, sure. My Instagram is Layla Ivy, Laila Ivy, 2 Y's. And yeah, catch me at the volleyball games too.
Good one. Okay, should I say mine? Okay, cool. My Instagram is _REESIES_pieces. So Reese's Pieces, another underscore. There's 3 of them. Anyways, also come to the Field Hockey games. Yeah, give us some support.
I don't need y'all Instagrams because I'm gonna be at all the games. So I'll see you in I'm coming. I don't need it. I'm coming to all the games. I'm so excited just to support you all both in any way possible. And we can always follow up after this with just ways that we can be more supportive and just improve your experience overall. So to all of our Maryland athletes listening, here are a few upcoming events. So again, our podcast is going to drop every Monday at 9 a.m. And then the Welcome Back Barbecue is scheduled for September 5th at 6:30 p.m. Again, thank you both for joining and thank you for listening.